Welcome to this special edition of the Scooby panel. Today we'll be talking about the beginnings of Scooby-Doo because today is the 52nd anniversary, which is so cool. I am joined by Wendy and Cameron today. Thank you for joining me. This is awesome. Who knew that Scooby-Doo would have lasted 52 years when it started in 1969?
Awesome.
Think about what the people that worked on it originally are thinking now. You know, I would love to talk to them and just get an idea of how they feel about Scooby-Doo now, the different series that have come out, and, you know, their feelings as far as Scooby lasting this long.
Yeah, I don't think anybody necessarily expected it to become what it has become. You know, maybe they thought that it would still be known in 50 years, but I don't think they realized just how much everyone was going to love this dog. I really don't think that they had any idea just how perfect that whole little storm for that show, you know, because we've talked before about how great Hanna-Barbera cartoons are just in general, but there is something about Scooby that it's just different. It's just different. Like all of it's so good, but with Scooby, they just like hit it. Everything just like fell perfectly into place to the point where 52 years later, it might as well have started yesterday. You know what I mean? As far as like the enthusiasm that fans have for it, you know what I mean? Like the older I get, the more I love Scooby. I don't feel like I'm reverting to like, oh, I'm too old for this. Like, no, I'm sitting here hugging this Scooby because I want to be doing it. You know, I hugged this Scooby when I was like 5 years old, and I'm 35 and I'm hugging him. And when I'm 95, like somebody put him in my coffin with me. Okay. Like I want he needs to come with me.
We'll make sure that happens.
Thank you.
So one of the things that I learned when I met Ron Campbell was one of the original artists for Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? He was there when they designed the first concepts. And one of the things that he told me was that they brought in a child psychologist, and the child psychologist told them that kids love dogs, and that if you make a dog that talks but can't say words clearly, but a dog that talks, that kids are going to fall in love with him and they're going to love him forever.
Wow.
And that child psychologist was right.
He was right.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's amazing that they even thought to do that, to bring somebody. I mean, it was a kid's cartoon. You know, they brought on a psychologist, they asked for their feedback, and this person had it spot on.
You know, we're talking about Scooby-Doo, and let me just tell y'all that from everything Nikki and Wendy, but y'all both have said, it's true. He stuck around for 52 years because he is just that pure, wholesome cartoon that everybody loves. And I really don't think there's anybody out there that can say that Scooby-Doo is a weak cartoon or Scooby-Doo is not a good cartoon, because 52 years, I mean, I've seen cartoons come on the air and they go right off. Or I see some cartoons go on the air and they don't last as long. And for Scooby-Doo to be a lasting Hanna-Barbera cartoon, you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, the Flintstones, the Jetsons, some of these cartoons are still around, but they're not as strong as Scooby-Doo. I mean, Scooby-Doo has movies released every year. There's merchandise everywhere you look, Walmart, Box Lunch, Hot Topic, I mean, you name it. And I just feel like fans are just super loyal to this cartoon because this cartoon helps out people in one way or another. Nikki, I love what you said about, you know, them bringing in a psychologist, whoever that psychologist is. I mean, I wish I could meet them and say, thank you, because what you told those people at Hanna-Barbera Studios has, you know, lasted so long, you know, to make kids feel, I want to say to make kids feel safe. You know, I feel like Scooby-Doo has done a phenomenal job at that. You know, some people may say, oh, well, it's too dark. Well, if you heard me on some of these previous panels, I say that Scooby-Doo balances dark and light very well. And in the world, I feel like Scooby-Doo teaches you that there's going to be darkness out there in the world. There's going to be crazy things out in the world. But I feel like Scooby-Doo teaches us that, you know, the real monsters are humans. And that, you know, you gotta go out into the world and be who you are, be true, be genuine to yourself. And I started collecting watching Scooby-Doo, loving Scooby-Doo when I was a baby, like baby, my infant. My mom bought me she bought me my very first item was the plush Scooby-Doo from the Warner Brothers store that says it's a boy. And so I have that till this day. And so she put that with me when I was a baby. And I've grown up ever since. Every birthday I've had Scooby-Doo. Every Halloween was Scooby-Doo, you know, because I love him so much. And you can ask any fan, what's the one thing you love about Scooby-Doo? Well, he's funny, he's goofy, he's silly, he's wholehearted. He's a cartoon that people can connect to. And I don't know. I mean, I just feel like 52 years, and you guys got to think too, for everybody listening, 52 years of people working on Scooby-Doo, and you still got Frank Welker voicing Freddy and Scooby-Doo. That, to me, that's dedication. That's pure love. So you can't tell me there's been people that's worked on Scooby-Doo that's absolutely hated it or didn't want to be a part of it. No, I think everybody has stuck to the end, or, you know, and there's been people that have worked on the project of Scooby-Doo, and they've worked till their, you know, to their very last breath, their dying breath. They've worked. I mean, that's pretty amazing, you guys. Y'all stop and think about that. And Nikki, you post all the time people's birthdays and people, you know, that have worked on Scooby-Doo. I mean, it's amazing to see how many hands have been dipped into the Scooby-Doo franchise. And, you know, another thing too is they've kept it clean for all these years, 52 years. They've kept it clean. They kept it pure. They kept it wholesome. And I think, guys, that's what kept Scooby-Doo so strong.
When I do post the birthdays, it's cool because these are people that don't really get the credit that they deserve. The animators, the voice actors, the people that work behind the scenes, you don't even know who they are. So, you know, to me, I feel like it's important to post these so that they can get the credit, so people know who they are and who's worked on these shows.
That's awesome, Nikki. Thank you for doing that. Seriously.
Yeah, that's so true. And it really must be a testament to, it's like something that Cam said that I hadn't really thought about before, but, you know, I feel like the things in life that turn out the best are the ones where the people that are working on it, like, they really do love it. It's not just a job, you know. It's not just like, oh, I'm showing up for work and my job is to be an animator, so whatever you put in front of me, I'm gonna animate it, you know. I could see how that could happen, you know, especially with like a major studio like Hanna-Barbera, where they had so many different wonderful cartoons coming out of their studio, you know. But I just feel like if we could talk to those people that worked on Scooby, I would be very surprised if not at least most of them, if not all, were like, you know, we committed to this. We wanted something for the children that they could enjoy, and we put thought and effort. You know, it wasn't just like, what's going to make us the most money. It was, what can we do that's going to be really, really awesome? And let's make it the best that we can and put everything that we have into it. And I feel like that kind of is, at least for me, what sets Scooby apart, is that if you think about it, like, they gave him a soul. To me, that's how I feel about it. You know, he's not just a talking dog in a cartoon. They gave Scooby an actual soul. He might as well be a person in the show, and how you think of him after you've watched the show. You know, he's not just a dog, and it's not just because he can talk. Like, he has feelings and emotion, and he wants things, and there are things that he doesn't like, and, you know, he really is a person just in a dog's body. And no wonder kids gravitated towards that. And like we've said so many times, if the people that came after as well had not committed to keeping it wholesome and keeping it pure and keeping it with their audience in mind, it never would have lasted the way that it has. I really don't think that we would be sitting here having this conversation. I don't think anyone would care about what we have to say, because it would just be another run-of-the-mill cartoon that had its moment and then everyone moved on from it. But I really do think that they gave such a soul to all those characters, but Scooby in particular. And like, I can't think of anything that there isn't to love about either Scooby himself, or the show. All those classics. Like I've been thinking and thinking, like, what negative can I say about it? And I honestly can't think of anything. There's nothing that I want to go back and change. There's nothing that I think, oh, you guys, you know, you could have done better. Like, I don't think that they could. I really don't. I think that Scooby is like the epitome of a children's cartoon, you know, because I really do think that a good children's cartoon should also be something that adults can enjoy too. I think that should be like a prerequisite, you know. Yeah, it's made for kids, but every adult was a kid once, and everybody says, you know, as you get older, you revert more towards, like, you know, like a child. That's what happens when you get very, very aged. And so if you put on a show or a cartoon and your grandma or your mom and dad can't also like legitimately enjoy it, then you didn't do the best job that you could do, in my opinion. Because I can't think of anyone that I would not feel comfortable showing every single classic episode of Scooby-Doo to. I could show it to my grandma, I could show it to my neighbor, I could show it to my mom or my dad, you know what I mean? Like, I can't think of anyone that it would be inappropriate for. Because like Cam said, some people think that there's dark in it, but what's the motive here? Okay, dark is a very relative term. Where is the dark coming from? Is the dark within the characters, or is the dark coming from a conflict between good and evil? And that, I think, is really important, that good always triumphs over evil in a Scooby cartoon. Like, it's a very rudimentary way of looking at it, but I mean, come on, like, that is the basis, you know, like, boil something down to like its absolute bare bones base. That's what that is. Good versus evil, but good always triumphs. That, I feel like we're kind of losing that these days, that people are thinking that that's like a boring thing. And that kind of scares me a little bit, because I don't think that should ever be boring. I really, really don't. That is something that we should hold on to. And Scooby is such a great example of why. Because Scooby doesn't teach children anything that's negative. We've had panels about the life lessons of Scooby. Like, what are the things that it taught us? They're all positive. None of them are negative. Like, I don't think there's any like bad habits or bad traits to be had from watching a classic Scooby cartoon. Pretty much any cartoon that was made in, like, you know, 2000 and onward, I could probably find at least a couple of things where I'm like, can you get away with it? Yeah, but you know, maybe you could have tweaked that just like a little bit, just to make it a little less, you know what I mean? Even the character of Scrappy, you know, Scrappy, if they had just had that character as he originally was, and they never showed the consequences of his being like headstrong, a bully, whatever, if we never saw that, it would have been a bad influence for children. But I feel like even that, they treated it in a manner that children could still enjoy the puppy aspect while still learning, like, okay, this might be how some people behave, but you shouldn't behave like that, because there are consequences for doing that, and they're not good, because it's going to hurt yourself, or more importantly, it's going to hurt the people that you love. You know, Scrappy loved Scooby more than anything in the world, I think. And you getting your Uncle Scooby into trouble. And I feel like there were times where we saw Scrappy feeling bad about that. And I love that he eventually, you know, graduated into being a more mature puppy, to where we don't have so much of that bullying. And I think that was a super important aspect of the whole Scooby show in general, because again, they were teaching the children. They weren't just making some dumb show to get money. They were thinking about the people that were going to be consuming the content. And that's like, I mean, how can we not applaud those people? You know what I mean? Like Cam said, it's so great, Nikki, that you find the people that we don't know their names. We don't associate them with this thing that we love so much, and we really should, because without any single one of them, it wouldn't be what it is. and we wouldn't love it as much. So all of those people out there, whether they're alive or dead, like, God bless you, because you gave us something that was really, really, really amazing. And I have no doubt that in another 52 years, people will still be loving Scooby-Doo.
So talking about these people, let's talk about the creators of Scooby-Doo. So there seems to be some confusion as to what everybody's role was. So Joe Ruby and Ken Spears were the writers. Iwo Takamoto, and I'm sorry if I said his name wrong, was the character designer. He designed the gang and Scooby. William Hanna and Joseph Barbera were the producers of the show. And then Fred Silverman was the executive in charge of children's programming at CBS. And he actually shares a birthday with Scooby-Doo. His birthday is also September 13th. So
Cool.
Unfortunately, he passed away last year. But it's pretty cool that this show started on his birthday and he got to see Scooby last 50 years. So that's pretty cool. And then for the voice actors, we had Don Messick as Scooby-Doo, Casey Kasem as Shaggy, Frank Welker as Fred, Stefaniana Christopherson did the first season of Scooby-Doo Where Are You as Daphne, and then Heather North did the second season. And Nicole Jaffe was Velma. So again, we had Casey Kasem, who voiced Shaggy for years, and Frank Welker, who's still voicing Fred. It's amazing to have these people just part of this and have been part of it for so long.
I would just like to say that no matter, from him starting back in 1969, no matter what style, what format, whatever he's taken on, they've done a phenomenal job with whatever series, video game, books, merchandise. I mean, it's kind of like what you both said. There's really nothing to complain about, you guys. There really isn't. I mean, I feel like everything they put out and produced and created has just been phenomenal. And, you know, that's my thing. If people always ask me, if you can go back in time one last time and to one point in time, where would you go? And I say I'd go to September 13th, 1969, because I would love to see where Scooby-Doo first started. I think that would have been an amazing experience to see him, you know, on CBS for the very first time. You know, all I want to say is happy birthday, Scooby-Doo. And you know what? Thank you for all the memories and everything that you give us fans, because when things get hard in the world, things get dark, I feel like we can always turn this cartoon dog and he always just makes it 10 times better. So yeah, happy 52nd birthday. And you know what? I hope 50 more years, 52 more years. I hope 100 more years, 1,000, million more years to this dog, because when I'm dead and gone one day, I mean, I know this may sound silly, but I hope that my kids, if I have any, will take on my Scooby-Doo collection and continue on, because it's fun and it's enjoyable. And I wish I had a job somehow within the Scooby-Doo franchise, but being able to collect him and run my social media pages, I just feel so connected and blessed to be a part of the Scooby-Doo community. And Nikki, Wendy, to be able to connect with y'all. I mean, it's truly incredible to be around tons of people that love Scooby-Doo as much as we do. And you know what I mean? It's just such an awesome experience. And I just feel like when I very first joined the Scooby-Doo community, I feel like I not joined a community. I feel like I joined a family that loves Scooby-Doo. So happy birthday, Scooby-Doo. And Nikki, thank you for this. I do appreciate it.
Scooby is something that you can always count on. You know what you're going to get when you sit down to watch an episode of classic Scooby-Doo. And I feel like in a world that is constantly changing, and in a time, and this is nothing new, everyone goes through these times, but times where there's trouble and you have anxiety and it's just uncertainty, you know, uncertainty creates unrest. And to think that there is something that you can sit down and say, for this 22, 23 minutes, I know exactly what I'm going to get. And I'm going to love every second of it. And I'm going to come out the other side feeling a little bit better for that time. You know, whether it lasts or not is not the point. In that moment, when you need something that you can count on, something that's not going to bring you down, it's only going to lift you up, you can put on Scooby-Doo. You can go look at your collection, whatever it is. You can give your big Scooby a hug. You know what I mean? And for that moment, Scooby will bring you joy and happiness and love. And so happy birthday, Scooby. We all love you. And I wish that you were a real dog, because you would get so much love and so many Scooby snacks and treats. You know, we would just give you a never ending supply of them because we love you so much.
Yeah, I'm just thrilled that the creators created Scooby-Doo. And we have to remember that it's not just Scooby, but it's Fred and Daphne and Shaggy and Velma. It's their day too.
Right.
You know, we have a tendency to focus on Scooby, which I did when I made the cake that everybody will see at the end of this episode. It took me almost 2 hours to make Scooby. So to even attempt the rest of the gang was just not going to happen. It would have taken me a week. But I mean, you can tell that people put their heart and soul into the show. You know, they spent countless hours to bring us entertainment, and we appreciate everybody that has done anything related to Scooby-Doo. And Scooby is 52, and this is awesome. So happy birthday, Scooby, and Fred, Daphne, Velma, and Shaggy, and the Black Knight too. Technically, it's his birthday.
Yeah, there you go.
And the Mystery Machine.
Yeah. So yeah, so thank you guys for joining us for this special edition of the Scooby panel, and keep watching because some of our friends joined us to sing Happy Birthday, Scooby-Doo.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Scooby-Doo.
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 Yay!
Yay.
Hey.